Okay, so today we are looking at our third paper, which is April 2022. April 2022 is the one that we are looking at. And the question says, number one, you have been nominated by your organization to make a media announcement of a new product. Propose 5 factors that you could consider when choosing the media for press conference. The factors to consider when choosing the media for press conference. Now that one, we are going to get it in lesson number 12. Let's go to lesson number 12. Lesson number 12 of our notes. In lesson number 12, there is something we covered and we said, Wesley, good morning and welcome. Okay, factors to consider when choosing a media to release a press release. We gave number one, where the press release is expected to go or reach. One is expected area of reach. Area of reach. Where do you expect this information to go up to? That's number one. Number two is tukasema the exposure or the expertise of the firm. The expertise of the firm. That is something else you need to look at. How experienced are they? Number three is the continuity that you desire. Continuity that you desire. Number four is the budget available. The budget available. The budget available. Number five is capacity of the firm. Capacity of the firm. Capacity of the firm. So we are saying those are some of the factors that you need to consider when you are deciding on which company you shall call. Will you call NTV? Will you call K24? Will you call KTN? Will you call Citizen? All those things you need to consider. And above that, tukasema the commitment of the firm and the testimonials of the firm. You need to check how committed they are. Testimonials are statements that have been made by people who have previously been served by that company. What are they saying about it? Number two, explain 5 disadvantages of using questionnaires. Disadvantages of using questionnaires. Again, from our notes, we can go to lesson 11. Lesson 11. Lesson 11. In our notes. We discussed about questionnaires, and I think we mentioned this the other day. And I just want to cite, we discussed questionnaires. I think the other day the question was asking us about the advantages. And then now, in the disadvantages, tunaulizwa, tunaambiwa tuseme the disadvantages, and in our notes tukasema, the format may make it difficult to explore complex issues. Number two, it may be difficult to know who filled the questionnaires. Number three, questions can be misunderstood. Respondents may be dishonest. So we cite those disadvantages. Number one, tunasema that the format may be difficult. Format may be difficult. Format may be difficult. Number two is Difficult to know who filled the questions. Difficult to know who filled the questions. Who filled the questions. It's difficult to know. Number 3, questions can be misunderstood. Questions can be misunderstood. Questions can be misunderstood. Another one is that respondents may be dishonest. Respondents may be dishonest. Respondents may be dishonest. And then respondents may not be comfortable. Respondents may not be comfortable answering the questions. Respondents may not be comfortable answering the questions. Respondents may not be comfortable. I hope you're able to see clearly. Is that so? Are you able to see clearly? Okay, good. There are times that I'm disrupting. Like when I was writing, were you able to see? There are times I'm disrupting. Okay, so if you could see clearly what I was writing, that is good. Okay. So those are some of the disadvantages that you can be able to cite when it comes to what we are calling questionnaires. Number C, nasema, with relevant examples, analyze 5 characters of a good sales speech. Characters of a good sales speech. Now, these characters of a good sales speech, you could get them from a presentation. You could get them from presentation. We talked about how you are supposed to make a presentation or how you are supposed to make a persuasive speech. But just to summarize, one is that it must be clear and concise. It must be clear and concise. Be very clear what is it that you're telling people. Very, very important. Number 2, focuses on benefits. Focuses on benefits. On benefits of the product. Of the product or service. You should let me know when I buy this product. What do I start to get? It should focus on the specific needs. The specific needs of the customer. The specific needs of the customer. Very, very important. You need to focus on the specific needs of the customer. Another one is that it should include social proof. Social proof. When we talk of social proof, we are talking of testimonials. The ones I've just mentioned here. Who has used the product, who has used the service? What are they saying about it? And then number 5, a call to action. A call to action. Now, a call to action, it is where you are telling people what is it that you want them to do. What is it that you want them to do? Very, very important. You want them to do what? It's very, very important as far as that one is concerned. So those are some of the 5 items or characters of a good speech that you need to have. Should be clear and concise, should focus on benefits of the product or service. It should focus on the needs of the customer, and it should include social proof, and there should be a call to action. Let's go to question 2. Question 2 says, explain the meaning of the term interpersonal communication. Explain the meaning of the term interpersonal communication. Now, interpersonal communication, that one we know very, very well. It is the communication between two or more persons. It's as simple as that. It is communication. It is communication between two or more persons. That is what we call interpersonal communication. It is the communication between two or more persons. Now, analyze 4 reasons why good interpersonal communication is essential at the workplace. Reasons why we require interpersonal communication. 1 is solving problems. We are able to solve problems when we are talking to each other. Very, very important. Number 2, there is also still on that, conflict resolution. When we collide, we can be able to talk. We can be able to solve that. Another one is meeting business objectives or business goals. Business goals. We are able to meet the goals of the company. Another one is that it encourages transparency. There is transparency. And then something else is that it improves culture. It improves culture. It improves culture. Something else that you can cite there is it builds relationship. It builds relationships. It builds relationships. So those are some of the benefits of what we are calling the interpersonal communication. You are able to solve problems that arise in the company. In case 2 or more persons conflict, they collide, you are in a position to iron out what it is. And then you are able to meet the business proposals, or rather the goals, the objectives, whatever it is that you want to do, because you can talk to each other. Then there is transparency. You are able to be open. There is improvement of culture. And then we have what we are calling building of the relationships. People become good friends because they are talking. Waswahili wanasema kuzungumza ni kupendana. So when you are talking, there is that good relationships. Examine 5. Hatujafika huko. Ilikuwa question 3. Part B. Examine 5 benefits of forming departmental committees as a strategy to improve internal communication in an organization. Those are, I think, in the last lesson, we discussed about that. We discussed about the benefits of committees. Now you can see it has been repeated again. The benefits of committees. 1, tutarudia tena, tulisema pooling of opinions, or tunaweza ongeza. 1 is that we are able to bring opinions together. It's called pooling of opinions. Another one is that there is improved cooperation. There is improved cooperation. Improved cooperation. Very, very important. Number 3, there is what we call representation. There is representation. Everyone is represented, or most of the people are represented. Another advantage is there is motivation. Motivation. That should be number 4. There is motivation. People are happy with what is happening. And then there is dispersion of power. The power is not concentrated on one person. Dispersion of power. There is dispersion of power. Something else is that there is executive training. Executive training. Executive training. Executive training. Now, when we talk about this, we are saying that when you're using a committee to do what is supposed to be done in the organization, you bring opinions together. There is the pooling of opinions together. Views, experiences are brought together. Then there is improved cooperation. People are able to cooperate well. Then we have representation. Every person from every department, they feel that they are well represented. And then we have what we call motivation. People are happy with what is happening because their views are being put into consideration. There is the issue of dispersion of power. Power is not just vested on one person. There are other people who can make decisions. There are other people whose voices can be heard. And then there is executive training. Executive training comes in the fact that when you are listening to other people, you will be sharpened. Remember, they say iron sharpens iron. So when you listen to a person, there is some knowledge that you get, as opposed to when you just remain alone and you don't listen to what others have to offer. So that is very, very important as far as the committees are concerned. Good. Let's go to question 3. Question 3 inasema, discuss 5 functions of nonverbal communication. Functions of nonverbal communication. Discuss 5 functions of nonverbal communication. So in our notes, let me see in our notes where we said that one is nonverbal communications. I think we discussed in lesson number 9. If you go to our lesson number 9, that's where we came across that. Nonverbal communication. Yeah, we are there. Nonverbal communication. We talked of nonverbal communication, and the question is asking us the functions of nonverbal communication. So in this one, you can see we discussed about benefits or importances of nonverbal communication. Number 1, it is used to repeat verbal message. One is that it repeats verbal message. It repeats verbal message. It repeats verbal message. Number 2, tukasema, it is used to accent verbal message. It accents verbal message. Verbal message. Number 3 is can be used to either complement or contradict. It is used to complement or contradict verbal message. Verbal message. Number 4 is that it regulates interactions. It regulates interactions. It regulates interactions. Number 5 is it may substitute verbal message. Verbal message. So those are some of the first 5 that we discussed. Na tunasema that number 1, it helps us to repeat the verbal message. You can repeat and emphasize. You can accent, to give accent. Someone may not be really getting what is it that you are saying, but somehow by looking at the body movements and whatever else, they're able to get it. Then it can be used to complement, to complete what was not being gotten in a complete way. We complete it. And then we can also contradict. We can use the non-verbals to complement or contradict. It is also used to regulate interactions. It is used to regulate interactions. And then we are saying it may substitute verbal message. And if you continue reading from our notes, you also notice that number 6 tulisema, it is best to convey messages relating to geography, maps, charts, and graphs. Number 7 tukasema, best where instant response is required, like in traffic. Number 8 tukasema, every human being respond quickly to colors, pictures, or sounds than to words. Number 9, best method to convey a message to illiterate persons. So it is something that you can be able to communicate even to people who are illiterate. Okay. 5 benefits of conducting business through video conferencing. Benefits of conducting business through video conferencing. Again, let me tell you the topic where we run to. That is topic number 19. Topic number 19, let's go there. Topic number 19. Topic number 19, we discussed about the second last class that we did. Tulisoma mambo ya video conferencing. Video conferencing. Tukasema this is a linking of groups of people in different locations by sound and vision. Now, the question here is asking us, what are the advantages of the benefits? So number 1, we said is a good substitute for face-to-face communication. 1 is that a good substitute for a face-to-face communication. Face-to-face communication, very, very important. It's a good substitute for face-to-face communication. Number 2, tukasema communication is real time. It is real time. We are able to get information there and there, real time. Number 3, it overcomes barriers of distance. It overcomes distance, barrier. It overcomes distance. We are able to overcome distance as a barrier. Something else is it saves traveling costs. Saves traveling costs. Traveling costs. Saves traveling costs. Something else that you notice there is that saves on time. It saves time. So those are the first 5 that we talked about, that when you're using video conferencing, you substitute face-to-face. You don't have to meet face-to-face. Like now what we are doing, although this is not a video conferencing, it's a Zoom, it's similar, but we are not meeting face-to-face. Then there is an issue of real time. You are getting this information as soon as I release it. It overcomes distance, as we stated the other day. Some of you are far away. We save on traveling costs, and then we save on time. And I believe as of now that we are in the 3rd paper, you can see how these questions keep on repeating themselves. And even in your exam, it will not be different. It will not be any different. There will be the same things. Good. Number 3, or part C. Examine 5 types of unethical behavior in communication. We talked about those unethical behaviors in communication, but just to remind ourselves of the unethical behaviors, number 1, we talked of coercive. I think now I'll just coercive. Coercive. I think we discussed this, na tukasema it is the one that is intimidating, it is repressive, it is threatening. You want to threaten people. Another one is destructive. This is where you become abusive, you become insensitive, you become aggressive in the communication. Another one is called deceptive, is where unatumia uongo, you are not honest, deceptive. Another one that we mentioned last time, it is intrusive. Intrusive. Now, intrusive is where you want to get into private areas. Maybe you are using hidden cameras, ama unachungulia, you are eavesdropping, and so on. Something else that is not very good is secretive. Not unless this information is supposed to be kept as a secret, you are supposed to come out in a very clear way and let people know what is it that you're saying. Something else that we said is not very good, this is number 5, this is number 6, is manipulative. You want to manipulate people, you want to exploit people, you want to take advantage of people. So these are unethical ways of communicating. Don't coerce people, don't threaten, don't intimidate, don't be destructive, wacha kuharibia watu majina. Don't be very abusive, matusi, deceptive, be honest. Don't speak lies, intrusive. Unaingilia mambo ya wenyewe, unapata mtu akiongea na fulani, unataka kuingia hapo usikie, ama unaenda mkiongea na mtu unamrecord na hajui unamrecord, ama umeenda umeficha kamera. Nowadays kuna kamera hata unaweka kwa mfuko, inaenda ikirecord what is happening, then later on unaanza kudhurete mtu, unamwambia unajua niko na video yako, fanya hii ama ni release. Now that is very bad. And I'm sure of late you have seen some people, even their videos being released when they are naked. How did it happen? It happens because someone maybe had a camera that was hidden somewhere. They just took the video and they knew that after nimechukua hii video, I will manipulate the person. Tamwambia kama hunipatii hii pesa ama hunifanyii hii na hii, I am releasing the video. And some people wanasema we kwani ni just release it. And courtesy of that, you have seen some of those videos circulating. So it is very bad. It is very wrong to do that. Good. Let's go to question number 4. Question number 4. Question number 4. Inasema propose 5 strategies that can be used to overcome sender-oriented barriers in a telephone conversation. The strategies that you can use to overcome barriers of communication, especially where there is what we are calling telephone conversation. One is remove perceptions or deal with perceptions. Deal with negative perceptions or just perceptions. Ensure that, like today in the morning, before I started this lesson, maybe before I talk of that, number 2, simple language. Simple language. Number 3 is reduce or eliminate noise. Reduce noise. Sema you can only reduce. You may not be very successful in trying to eliminate. Something else is active listening. Active listening. Another one is emotional state. Emotional state. Emotional state, and so on and so on. So we are saying here that when you want to eliminate this barrier, number 1, deal with negative perceptions. And I think in our last lesson, we discussed how to deal with these perceptions. One of the questions is how to deal with these judgments, the distortions. You can remember those who are in class. We talked in details how you can deal with the perceptions. Then number 2, ensure that you're using simple language. Even over the phone, don't be very complicated. Use a simple language. Then reduce noise. Move to a place where there is no noise. I'm sure umewahi ongea na mtu akwambia, hey, you are in a noisy place, or someone calls you and you tell them, please let me call you later because I am in a noisy place. We cannot be able to get each other well. The other thing is ensure that there is active listening. Even when you are doing it over the phone, be active. We have been talking about active listening, and I know even here we are going to. Then ensure that you are in the right state of emotions. When you are not in the right state of emotions, maybe you are either very happy or very sad, very bitter. Now, when someone makes a call, please don't receive that call because you may respond to them just like, or rather in accordance with your current state of emotions. We call it the displacement. Maybe umekosana na mtu mwenye mko naye tu hapo, umekasirikiana, mnajibizana, then a call comes from another cool friend of yours. Alafu sasa unamjibu na hasira, and then the person is left wondering what is happening. And you may not be able to reconcile because this person has called you from a very good heart, from a very neutral perspective. But because amekupata na mahasira, then so check your emotional state before you receive a call so that you do not mix the two. Most of us do mix. I remember a friend of mine when we were submitting our projects for master's degree. And when he went to the dean's office then, the dean had collided with the person who was ahead of this gentleman. Na wakasubuana sana. Actually, that lady left that office crying. Walikuwa wamesubuana kabisa. So my friend getting in there, he found this man at the top of his anger. Now, submitting his document, this gentleman did not even bother to read. I don't know what he saw. He torn it apart and amrushia. Now, that is very bad. Because mimi sio yenye tumekosana na wewe, tumekosana na mwenye amenitangulia. But now this guy could not differentiate between the two. Hata huyu akiingia ni kuvuruga. Anarua document. And you know, maybe these days your lecturers have become good. Our days, the lecturer used to be very, very powerful. Akishararua, you have no choice. You have to go and redo again. And you can imagine how difficult it is to do a project. And then mpaka umebind, umeandika all the 5 chapters, mtu anaichukua hajasoma anararua. So, emotional status, you need to really check. They can mess up the relationships. Next is what we are calling disadvantages of written communication. Some disadvantages of written communication. You remember tulisoma mambo na written communication in our lesson number 9. Let's go there to lesson number 9 in our notes. Lesson number 9, mahali tulisoma nonverbal communication. Then after that, tukakuja tukaongea about writing skills. Tukaendelea hivyo, tukaongea about advantages of written communication. Then tukamalizia na disadvantages of written communication. So the examiner here wants us to give 5 disadvantages of written communication. Number 1, tulisema no immediate feedback or response is given. Number 1 is that there is no immediate feedback. There is no immediate feedback. There is no immediate feedback that is given when you're using written communication. Number 2, it has a limited audience. It has limited audience target. It has limited audience or target. Very, very important to note that not everyone will be able to be reached via writing. Something else is that can easily be misinterpreted. It can easily be misinterpreted. Can easily be misinterpreted. Number 4 is that it's not easy to persuade. Not easy to persuade. It's not very easy to persuade the person who is receiving the information to change their mind. It is expensive over long distance. It is expensive over long distance. It is expensive over a long distance. So when you are writing, maybe you are writing a letter to someone who is in Australia or someone who is in US or wherever. Even not even out of the country, you are writing to someone who is in another county. It will take you more money than when you make a call. Yeah, it will be more expensive and it will take time. Discuss 5 reasons why organizations prefer to use oral presentations than poster presentations when holding conferences. So why should we use oral communications? Why do we use oral communications instead of written communications? Let's go to our topic, lesson number 6. Lesson number 6 in our notes. Lesson number 6. Lesson number 6. Lesson number 6. Tulisoma about oral communication. Oral communication. And tukasema meaning, tukasoma characters, na tukasema importances. So the question is asking us today to talk of the reasons why we may want to do an oral presentation than a poster, than a written one. So point number 1, according to our note, is that there is high level of understanding and transparency. There is high level of understanding and transparency. There is a high level of understanding and transparency. Very, very important. Number 2, feedback is instant. Feedback is spontaneous. It is there, it is immediate. When you're communicating orally, feedback is immediate. There is a spontaneous response. Number 3 that you can be able to cite there is that saves time. It saves time, money, and effort. Money and effort. Saves time, money, and effort. Very, very important. Number 4, when you are using oral communication, is that very effective in conflict resolution. Effective in conflict resolution. Conflict resolution. It's very effective when you are resolving conflicts. Very effective in conflict resolution. And number 5 is that it is essential for teamwork. It's essential for teamwork and group energy. And group energy. People can easily form a group and be able to deliver that which is desired of them to be delivered when you're using oral communication compared to when you're using what we call written. So question 5. Question 5. Question 5. Highlight 5 uses of social media applications in business applications. The uses of social media applications. The uses of social media applications. You know so well when we talk about the social media, we are talking of Facebook, we are talking of WhatsApp, we are talking of Twitter, we are talking of Instagram, we are talking of Threads. I don't know whether Threads are still there or they came and disappeared. I've not updated myself on that. So many of such social media platforms, YouTube and so on. So what are some of the uses or the advantages? Tulisoma hiyo maneno But maybe I can give you a few advantages or uses. One is that it is able to increase reach. It is able to increase reach. We are able to reach very many people using social media. We are able to reach. Something else is that it is trackable. We can be able to track. The other day I was telling you, they say that Facebook or internet does not forget. Another one is that it is fast. Another one is that it is easy. It is easy. Another one is it is used in what? Enhancing brand building. Brand building. So those are some of the uses or some of the reasons why we use social media. Although that question you could also have, instead of looking at it like we are citing the advantages, you could look at it in terms of functions, kabisa. And one of them is what we have said here. There is brand building. There is brand building. We use social media to build our brand, to make our product to be a household name. Tunashinda tukiweka kwa Facebook. Number two, which is closely related to that, is marketing. It is used in marketing. You are able to market them. Number three, it can be used in communication. When we are in the company, remember we talked about the use of emails, we talked about the use of WhatsApps, and so on. Something else is what we have called team building. You can use them to build a team. When you have a social platform where people can exchange ideas. I see it in many places that I am in, at the workplace, at the church, in the estate, wale tulisoma na wao. So there is that team. You build it on social media. When if you rarely meet, you're able to do that. Something else is record keeping. You can just put something there and you know it will remain unless you delete it. And you know the storage there is cost-free. To store something in the social media or in the internet, it is cost-free. So those are some of the things. So you could either approach that question as advantages or something like this. Either way will work. Okay, explain the term memorandum. The term memorandum, hata hiyo tulisoma. Let me check, it was in which topic? Because tulisoma hiyo memorandum, it should be in topic number 11. So kibia kwa topic number 11. Topic number 11, hapo ndio tulisoma mambo ya memorandum. Topic number 11, we discussed about memorandum there. And in that case, tukasema a memorandum or a memo is a short piece of writing used by an officer of an organization to communicate within the organization. A memo is a short piece of writing used by an officer to communicate in a company. Communicate in a company. That's what we call a memo. It's used to communicate. Okay, just a minute as I respond to this call. You can be looking at other questions there. Okay, so we continue. The next question is asking us then, three purposes of new memorandum, the purposes of a memorandum. So we said memorandums are used for the following reasons. One, conveying scheduled message. They convey scheduled message. Scheduled message. Number two, tukasema submitting periodical reports. Submitting periodical reports. Number three is communicating changes. Communicating changes in the firm. Communicating changes in the firm. So those are some of the issues that we can have memorandum being used, but I gave you 11 of them. The others are issuing instructions to the staff, confirming a decision made over the phone, asking certain special information, writing suggestions, a reminder, highlighting an event or a circumstance, recounting an event, official record of anything or something. So those are some of the uses. Describe the 5 steps of reasoning. Hiyo tulisoma juzi, we revised I think in our previous our previous class, but we can still relook at them again. Na hiyo tulikuwa discuss when we were in lesson number 6. Lesson number 6 is when we talked about the stages of reasoning. The stages of reasoning, na tukasema there is the aspect of receiving. Number 1, there is receiving. Number 2, tukasema there is the step that is called understanding. Understanding. Number 3, tukasema there is a step called remembering. 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 Number 4, tukasema there is a step called evaluating. Evaluating. Number 5, tukasema there is a step known as responding. Responding. So those are the stages of reasoning. And we said receiving is where you get the information, you focus on the message. Then in the understanding, tukasema it is where you attempt to get the meaning of the message that is being conveyed. Remembering is when you try to recall, you try to repeat what was said. Evaluating is just being more critical, getting to know a deeper meaning. Why am I being told this? Why is it, or where is it coming from? Something else is responding. It's where you take the action of what the message is asking you to do. So that one is a repetition of a question we did or we handled the other day. And it's in our notes. Question number 6 inasema, summarize 6 features of a good business proposal. Features of a good business proposal. Now from our notes, we discussed about the content of a business proposal. Let me see whether I can be able to get where we wrote that. And business letters, memorandum, business forms, publicity, press release, public speaking, presentation aid, group. Let me see, it is in which topic, but I know we covered business proposals, when conferences, types of reports, should be somewhere here. Yes, preparation of proposals, proposal. We said a proposal is a document that is prepared for a prospective customer to persuade the prospect to adopt the solution to a problem of the fulfillment of a need. So that is what we call proposal. And there is something we call contents of a proposal. Contents of a proposal. We gave ourselves a statement of the problem, literature review, conceptual framework, hypothesis or research questions, methodology, task structure, management plan, staff, and the budget. But basically, I want us to summarize today. One is the title page. That's what I want us to summarize. Out of that, you should have a title page. Number two, you should have what we call introduction. Introduction. I'm just summarizing the 10 that we gave. I'm just summarizing the 10 that we gave. Number three is problem statement. Problem statement. Number four is what we call the methodology. The methodology. Number five is obviously what we call the pricing and deliverables. The pricing and deliverables. Those are some of the 5 items that you need to contain or to consider in the business proposal. You need to give us the title page, tell us the name of the business proposal. You need to tell us the introduction. You introduce yourself. Some people call it the preamble. Then there is the problem statement. You need to tell us what is the problem that you are seeking to solve. Then the methodology that you seek to do what? To use. And then there is the pricing. How are you going to price it? Some people call it the budget. Actually, in our notes, we call it the budget. And in the pricing, you can even break it down or mention our charge here because of this because of this, and this is the total. And the deliverables, you should tell them that this is what I expect to give you. I expect to give this financial statement. I expect to give this house. I expect to give this. So you should state the deliverables, even with time, so that it can be measured against time, and we are able to judge whether you are progressing well or not. Now, explain 6 areas that should be included in a formal report. Basically, those are the same things that we have said here, but we can try to differentiate them kidogo. But if you look at what we talked about report writing, if you look at, again, report writing, the structure, I can give 5 from our, this is lesson number what? Lesson number 16. If you go to lesson number 16, you'll be able to get that. To December, it should have a title. Good report should have a title. Number 2, it should have the identifications. As in who is the writer of the report and who is the user of the report and the date. If you look at the report that was submitted to the president the other day by the Presidential Working Party on education, it is telling you who has authored that, who is the user, nani anapelekewa, and the date of submitting that report. Very, very important. Number 3 is the statement of confidentiality. We should be able to know whether this information can be released to anyone, can be accessed by anyone. And if not so, there should be a statement of confidentiality. Number 4, we should have the contents page. Contents page. You're able to know what is contained in this document because it could be detailed. You can imagine kama hiyo committee that was given the terms, I think early December, and they have worked for like 5-7 months. They have done a voluminous report, so they need to give us the contents. And then something else is that we should have the terms of reference. What is it that were they told to go and do? The terms of reference. Very, very important to be included in a formal report, and so on and so on. We also talked about the sources of your information, the sections that you have, the appendices, and the report summaries. Steps that an organization could take to enhance ethical communication. Tulisoma hiyo maneno, our last topic. Our last topic, that is lesson number 20. How managers, I think it has a featured, kama ina appear almost every question paper, you can tell that from what we have been discussing. In the last lesson, we discussed it. Today, we want to discuss it. The other day, we discussed. And just highlighting one, tumekuwa tukisema there should be training. You train your people on how to use ethical communication. Number 2 is that there should be what we call positive culture. You should build a positive culture. And when you build a positive culture, people are able to communicate ethically. You should communicate policies and procedures. Policies and procedures should be well communicated so that people are able to understand what is it that is expected of them. And then it should be audience-centered. You always ensure that the communication that you're doing is audience-centered. And then you foster open communication. You should ensure that there is open communication. Open communication, very, very important to ensure that we are communicating ethically. Then tukaendelea tukasema commit to ethical communication. You create lean, efficient messages. You use simple language, and you provide open feedback. Question number 7. I write 4 key elements that should be considered when writing a paragraph. Lisoma hiyo maneno when you are writing a paragraph. When you are writing a paragraph, what are some of the things that you need to consider? That one we can get it in lesson 9. Lisoma huku nyuma, lesson 9. Lesson 9, tukasoma writing skills, and then tukakuja kwa sentence construction and paragraph development. And then kuna kitu tulisema hapo that an effective paragraph should have 4 characters which are unity. So number 1 is that there should be unity. Number 2, there should be what? If you look at our notes, after unity, there is coherence. Coherent, they are following each other. Number 3, there is what we call adequate development. Adequate development. That means you should have a paragraph that has what we call fresh. Kona nyama. See a paragraph ka 1 or 2 sentences and then you call it a paragraph. No. Let it be reasonable. Not too detailed, but again, not too short, not too brief. And then you should create what we call topic sentence. And topic sentence is a sentence that once you read it, you are able to know the content of that paragraph. It speaks of that paragraph. So the other sentences are just but building on that. So those are the 4 things that you need to consider when you are doing a paragraph. It is there in our notes. Number B, inasema summarize 4 commonly used methods of upward communication. To discuss juicy method, to discuss about upward communication. Na tukasema It is the communication that focuses on or moves from the lower levels to the higher levels. So examples of that, one is performance reports. Performance reports. Number two is focus groups. Number three is employee satisfaction surveys. Number four is what we call company meetings. Company meetings. And finally is what we call suggestion boxes. Suggestion boxes. Suggestion boxes. So when you are doing this upward communication, which you have said inatoka chini kienda juu, these are various forms. Performance reports, people are reporting on how they have performed. Focus groups, that's like a small group focused or formed to deal with a particular agenda. Employee satisfaction surveys to know how happy are our employees or how unhappy they are. It is an upward communication. Company meetings, when the directors call for the meetings, then the members are able to speak their views. And then the suggestion boxes. And remember, we talked of suggestion boxes and the drip boxes. And we said that in the drip, kila mtu anajulikana, you state the details of whoever has authored the message. But in the suggestion, we do not know who has written the message. So those are some of the methods that we use in upward communication. Finally, 6 factors that could contribute to ineffective group communication. I think we talked about group communication. But I want to give you a few factors that make groups communication very, very difficult. Groups communication difficult. One is lack of focus. Lack of focus. Number 2 is inequality of group members. Inequality of group members. Number 3 is negativity. Negativity. Number 4 is lack of cohesion. Lack of cohesion, unity. Number 5 is poor leadership. Number 6 is lack of shared goals. Lack of shared goals. Number 7, we could talk of context. Talk of context or the external environment. So here we are looking at the factors that make group communication very, very inefficient. And one is that there may not be focus. We are not very sure of what is it that we are looking for. Just like what you have said here, lack of shared goals. We anaenda huku, different directions. You don't achieve something. Then inequality of group members. You find in a group, members are different. Kuna yule anataka hii, kuna yule anajisikia yeye ako hii class, yeye amesoma sana, yeye ni tajiri sana, yeye ni maskini sana, yeye ni mdogo, yeye ni mkubwa. All those factors come into play and they affect. Another thing is what we call negativity. People come to the group, they have very different opinions, and more so the negative and looking down upon others, prejudices, judgments, misconceptions, and so on. Poor leadership, if the leader is not very strong, we again lose focus, we don't have a shared goal. People continue playing out their differences, and then we have lack of cohesion. We cannot come together in as much as we have been put physically together as a group. In terms of spirit, we are not together. In terms of purpose, we are not united. Then the context, where is it that we are discussing? If you are discussing in a place where you can start getting into other things, or you are disrupted by other things or people, then again, that becomes difficult. So we call it a day at a juncture. Thank you for attending the lesson. We hope to pick up from there in our next lesson. Continue from there. So thank you so much.